Welcome to another episode of the Collaborative Canvas, where we delve into the journey and insight of most inspiring entrepreneurs. Today, we have a special guest whose entrepreneurial journey is not only remarkable, but also deeply inspiring. Join us as we explore her journey, her innovative strategies for business growth, and her insights on creating impactful connections in the digital age. Our guest today is a true visionary. Understanding the crucial importance of staying aligned with their business vision, she believes that having a clear purpose is the backbone of every entrepreneurial decision. We are excited to hear more about how this purpose has guided her path, particularly through significant challenges. We have the pleasure of hosting Christabelle Joseph, the visionary founder of HYPERFORMERS. Known as Global Connector, Christabelle excels in business development and networking and leveraging her extensive database of top-tier professionals to empower business worldwide. Let's dive into her inspiring project aimed at building this global network and understand its impact. Christabelle, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Ankash. Thank you so much for having me on. I love what you're doing. I love what you're building. Thank you so much for your kind words and that beautiful introduction. You really just emanated everything about my essence in such a beautiful orchestration of who I am. So thank you for that introduction. It was so sweet. And I'm so grateful to be here and honored to be here and on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for actually having giving me your approval to be on my podcast, because I've been constantly looking at this catchy word of yours, global connector, and has been inspiring me too often because me myself always wanted to connect with people. And when you connect with people, you actually know what is actually happening in the world. It is not just about, you live your own world and you don't understand the way we say empathize with people. There's a lot of things happen around the globe, whether it's daily day routine of housewife or a married man, or with children, without children, students everywhere. When we give a closer look to them, we only understand what pain areas they go with, what issues they face, and how they can be happy. But when it comes to an entrepreneur who has to work and balance the life altogether, it's a Herculean journey. It's not that easy that everybody can easily do that. And a lot of quotes that I see from you, a lot of stories that I see, it's pretty inspiring. And I thought, how about I just dive into your life and let my audience also know what exactly Christabelle does. And who can better answer these questions than CJ?
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. I mean, being an entrepreneur is it's not easy by any means. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that resonate with that statement, right? Being an entrepreneur is very challenging, right? There are a lot of things that you go through that you're faced with where it comes to, the relationship that you have with people, with money, with everything really on the external side of things and what you really value. And so it's such a reflective and pivotal moment in your life when you're able to dive into, and I know you mentioned this in my intro as well, of why a purpose is so important, why having a vision is so important, and what that really looks like when you're able to integrate that into your everyday life, that whatever goes on in the external, it just doesn't matter anymore. You realize that you are only in control of what it is that you're contributing into every space. And what does that look like in terms of how are you able to speak your currency and attract the right people and the right value that is going to meet you at that same resonance so that you're able to create a life of fulfillment.
Well, I was looking at one of your interviews, and you were like bang on. You were very right about what vision and mission is all about. We've been reading this. We learned this in our graduations and when we were doing postgrad. I wanted to understand how crucial it is for an entrepreneur to stay aligned with their business vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And I want to bring it back a little bit too of like, what is a vision? What is a purpose? Like, what does that even mean? Right. And I think like understanding that your purpose and your vision is something that is so much larger than you as a person, something that you're able to step into every single day. Your purpose is something that even if I'm working at McDonald's, I'm still living my purpose. You know, it doesn't matter of what it is that I'm doing. I'm contributing my connection. I'm helping people transform through connectivity. That is something I can do wherever I am. That is my manifesto per se, right? There's so many phrases that we're able to explore, but what is that grounding, that guiding principle that no matter what you're doing, where you are, why that is so important to be able to live every single day to bring into each experience. And so when you're living your purpose every day, everything else will move into the direction of your vision. So having that vision, but mind you, not getting lost in the vision. So having a vision of what it is that you want to build and what you want to create in this lifetime is very, very important, right? It's integral to what it is that you're here to create, right? We should have these large dreams and what we want to build here, but I will raise caution on getting lost in the frequency of the vision, because it is not real yet. And when we are in the space of being in the frequency of something that is not real, we attract things that may seem real, but they're not. So we forget about the process of what it's actually going to take to get us to that vision. So it's the grounding of us from living in the space of, you know, I won't get too woo-woo or too spiritual about it, but it's really grounding that dream, right? Of that experience of what it is that we want to create and what is it actually going to take? How can we materialize that? And how can we bring that into existence and honor the process of what that really means?
Yeah, I mean, I would not mind going into a spiritual journey with you. I mean, that's like truly remarkable understanding. You know, vision is just not a thought. It's whole life in itself. And you know, even if an entrepreneur is thinking of a vision to become somebody, even if that word in itself means to him something, he can go miles to of achieving that. And which again, I'll take you back to the interview, because I've been hearing a lot many interviews that you've been given recently. You talked about the purpose. A clear purpose is also definitely, you know, required. And you just mentioned as well that it influences the decision making ability of an entrepreneur as well. Now, considering we speak about by large about purposes and our visions, you probably have been talking about this in the forums as well, to help understand this better for the audiences, and specifically people who are trying to think or probably making a decision to become an entrepreneur. Can you cite an example how this purpose, a clear vision, a clear purpose influences their actual decision making system? Because once you decided, that in itself is very particular for you, because if you're not able to decide that first step, you cannot go further.
Absolutely. And I think understanding who you are as a soul in this lifetime is one of the most important skills to have when you are figuring out what it is that you want to create. Your desire. What is it that you desire? What is desire, right? And that is more than anything what is going to allow you to make those decisions. We live in a world right now where a lot of people can't make decisions, right? It's really difficult. And mind you, I mean, there's so many possibilities out there, right? There's so many things to choose from. And so we do get overwhelmed. As an entrepreneur, there's shiny object syndrome. This is a real thing, guys. Shiny object syndrome, getting distracted by all of these different things. And I've had those experiences as well, right? Being an entrepreneur, being sidetracked by the next exciting thing. But the real skill is going back to, like you were mentioning, right? That purpose of, okay, what does it mean to build something to completion, right? How do I actually honor that process so that I'm able to see? It's really like having a baby, right? When you have a baby, when you have a child and you have an infant, you need to think about, okay, how am I going to feed this other life, right? How am I going to take care and nurture all parts until it's able to, thrive on its own, right? And so when you're having a business, it's the same thing. Why start something and then shift your focus and then create something else, right? And you got 5 children that are hungry and starving, and you have no idea how to feed them or how to support them because you started too many things too fast without allowing them to develop and be able to walk on their own. Right. So I think it's really important for people when they think about entrepreneurship, before even making the decision of entrepreneurship, are you ready to commit 5 to 10 years into one thing? Really, that's what it comes down to. Are you willing to commit 5 to 10 years? It is not going to take you a year. I'm sorry, it's not going to take you 2. It's going to take you about 5 to 10 years to build something. Do you have that commitment to yourself?
That's true. That's actually true. It's not an easy journey, to be honest. I mean, myself, I mean, I think I tried number of times. I thought, let's do this. Let's do this. And then you said it pretty right. I mean, that's the syndrome that pulled me back. It could be other things as well, of course, probably my fear of not succeeding. Failures, I probably be, fearing of having a lot of failures, and then the liabilities and everything probably, popping up. But then once this thought is clear that, we have to invest this much of time. I was talking to somebody on Monday, or probably like Tuesday, and he was like, give me at least a vision of 5 years. What's that you're gonna do? And the same question pops in a lot of candidates probably hearing this in the interview. What will you be becoming in next 5 years? And none of them actually have an answer because they wanted to start the journey and would see what will happen. Now that becomes a challenging part. And I think somewhere down the line, we perceive things that ways. I mean, let it be like that is. Whatever it comes, we'll just handle. We don't have a clear purpose and we don't have a clear vision, and which is why I think a lot many people struggle. They don't succeed.
Exactly. And we get excited, and it's okay to be excited, right? And I think a lot of us get caught up in this, in what we see on social media and what we see in the external of people having really nice houses and really nice cars and all of these materialistic things. But when you actually talk to a lot of millionaires or billionaires per se, like they live a very simple life. They live
Yeah.
a life where there is not that attachment to all these material things. It's the understanding that there is a lot of risk going into entrepreneurship. There's a lot of things that you're going against the grain. There's going to be a lot of resistance, not just your own self-doubts, family self-doubts, right? Like coming from obviously an Indian background as well. My parents are not, I wouldn't say they're over the moon with me stepping into entrepreneurship, right? I mean, being raised Indian, is the culture of everything that they've known from what they brought to Canada with their entire background is, having a stable job, having a government job, right? The amount of times that my mother has asked me to pick up a part-time job or start working again to make sure that I have a pension, all these things is her reflection of what success or what security looks like and stability looks like, which is going to be different from what my perception of that is. Because for me, going back to purpose, I understand that I'm risking some things right now. Of course I am. I'm risking some things right now, but I'm also breaking a lot of the conditioning that has been pushed onto us, because I know that for the next generations, they're going to have access to these resources that I'm building, that I'm generating, so that they don't have to go through this struggle per se. And I'm also understanding, like, I don't have to struggle while doing this. I can create a life where I'm feeling excited about without attaching myself to what somebody else's version of stability looks like, right? So when I talk about entrepreneurship and I talk about, you're really reconstructing and redefining a lot of things that society has pushed on you of what safety, what security, what stability, what all of these things look like from the lens of the pattern, or from what society has dawned onto us, to recreate that to a way that you feel good. Because ultimately, if I feel I have a roof over my head, I don't need a lot. Like, like I'm good with a roof over my head. Like, I will work in my car for all that I really care about, because I know that this is a process and that I'm building it. I may not have millions and millions of dollars at this moment, but I know that that's coming. I know that that's coming. I know that this is just a part of the journey. So many people I've talked to in the entrepreneur space that are millionaires and have been invited to, UN sittings and things like that. They're like, yeah, like I've been in the negative quarter million in debt. I've been in those positions and I've gotten myself out of it, and to be able to see, you look at the stock market too, how many people freak out when there's a dip in
Yeah.
the market, right? And to have that detachment from what is going on in the external, to remain calm and to be able to make decisions based on feeling and logic. Like it's not separating yourself from the emotions. It's emotions are okay to feel, but do not act on emotions. Feel the emotion, understand the emotion, and understand if the decision that you're making is based on aligning to your vision, right? That should be the realignment.
Yeah, I think you're right. Emotions control us big time. And when they control, I think what the first thing we leave is the perseverance. We don't think of, what we have actually decided. I was reading this somewhere. It's this statement. I just copied it here. Perseverance is a hallmark of any successful entrepreneur. And then I
Mm,
realized that, it is actually important role for entrepreneur as well, because they've been facing challenges and they have to come out of it. You just mentioned that it's $1 million loss, and you probably have to step up and think wisely as to how you can get out of it, and then you did something, then you move out, and things take some time to be in that shape. There are bad days, there are worse days, there are good days as well. But what do you think those challenges, how they've been tested, and what most of it is, how one can overcome out of those? We know that, you just mentioned that we come out of it, but how? I mean, when emotions cover you up, you're dead.
mhm,
The brain's
exactly.
cells are dead. How do you, of course, spirituality is something that I've taken with myself. So, I started praying, oh God, help me out, move me out of it. But that doesn't work. You really have to think around, the ways of
Yeah.
doing it.
I wish it was that easy, right? I mean, we've all been there, right? Where we're asking for the support. We're just like, what is happening right now? Why is this happening to me? Right. But the biggest thing that I've learned and the biggest skill to work on is not just your mindset, but also emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is so key in being able to, the way that humans operate is we feel first, and then we think, and then we act. What is missing with that coherence is the ability to feel. We are not sitting with an emotion long enough. So what happens is our emotion triggers our thoughts right away. And so we create a reason behind why we're feeling something instead of allowing it to just remain an emotion and energy that we're being aware of. And then we're reacting based on that emotion. So if something is fearful for me, if I'm unable to make rent, or if there's something that's going on, I'm going to make decisions out of fear, right? My choices are going to be fueled by this fear that I have, and this scarcity. So the decisions that I'm making are not going to bring me, it's going to be that survival, right? But what we're able to sit into that fear and actually feel what that fear is and what it's actually unlocking on the other side. Okay, this is showing me, okay, how can I be creative with this? How can I use this fear now? Because fear is an emotion, it's a feeling, right? Emotions are energy. And when we're able to feel, it takes 90 seconds to call in that emotion, to feel it, and then to actually alchemize it, transform that emotion into something else. So we can choose then what we want that emotion to be, and we can choose anything. So what is on the other side of fear? What do I want to feel? I want to feel safe. Okay, let's think about that. Let's start feeling safe. What is that feeling of safety? Okay, now how am I acting to feel safe? What can I do to start acting to feel safe? Now my decisions are focused on safety versus the fear, right?
Love the
So
analogy.
yeah,
Great
so emotional
example.
resilience, I think, is the key to being able to move through your entrepreneur journey.
This is amazing. I mean, whenever I have a thought, I generally, peel it off, one by one like an onion. What if, and why? These are few questions that, I generally ask. When I started my podcast journey, I had the fear that, will I be able to succeed? Of course, I
Mm,
don't have the intention to earn money right now, probably over a period of time, but I am not too sure about that. I am just there to learn things up. Maybe wrong, maybe right, but I learned few new things over a period of time. I thought entrepreneurship is just about, just going into the market, sell your product and become a businessman. That's it. No, that's not the way it is actually. There are a lot of things. I mean, I think the failures, I was about to ask, how to come back of those failures which are repeated. They're very
mm,
demotivating, but failures are not demotivating. They're actually helping you step up. And that's what you exactly, answered about safety example that you gave. I love that analogy. But you know, one of your posts did mention about building an international community. I wanted to ask you about that because we probably have to understand, what exactly you do. A lot of people, when I told them, this is my new guest, not everybody, but the close buys, and they were like, they understood Global Connector, they understood you, on your post, but exactly they wanted to understand how this international community project of yours works and how you are actually helping every other individual who want
mm.
to aspire to become an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Yeah. I feel my superpower and my gift is hyperconnection. I'm a hyperconnector. Everyone refers me as this magical fairy like essence that's able to attract a lot of abundance in my life, which luckily I am. Opportunities to me, I've realized come very frequently into my field. And this is a gift and a real deep appreciation, and also charged up my ego at one point, right? And I got really excited by, this incredible human that was able to just bring in anything that I wanted into my field, right? And I'll go a little spiritual here because I realized through and what I was calling in was that I was saying yes to a lot of things that were not always aligned to what it is that I wanted or what I actually needed that was aligned to my vision. So what I realized through the people that I've met, obviously all throughout the years, I've always been this very I love human connection. I've always been in the service industry. I've always been in business development. I've always been the person talking on the phone, meeting people, connecting with people. Like that has just been who I am, whether I'm volunteering at the senior home, like whatever it is, I love people. I love it. There's a curiosity that I have about myself where it's like this childlike energy where I genuinely am excited to learn about someone else and their story, their life, and seeing how they got to where they got to, right? And I know that you have the same thing, Ankesh. Like that's how we connected as well. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy's genuinely curious, and he has this connectivity about him too. So I really, for me, when it came to this abundance of opportunities and people in my life, I realized that these are not all for me. These are actually for other people that are in my circle that I'm able to then be the bridge. So I'm this bridge of connection for everyone that is in my field. So whether that's a referral or a lead or a client or someone that they need to hire or someone that they need to joint venture with or an opportunity to get them, on a podcast. I think I just sent somebody else for you for a podcast. So many things where I'm like, oh, like this person would be great. But for me, it used to be anyone to anyone until now it is so much more intentional because I understand the value of these connections and I want to benefit both people to the utmost of what that possibility can look like. Right. For me, I get to live in this space of imagination where I'm creating almost in that childlike curiosity of, oh, this person is looking for this, and these are their strengths. And this is something that may actually be able to benefit not only this person, but this person's looking for something too. And there's that click, right? There's bringing these two worlds together where I can suddenly see the expansion and then ground it into existence by sharing that vision and allowing two people to also connect on their visions. So they're each playing a role in each other's vision. So that is how I built my program HYPERFORMERS, where I brought in the hyper connection, and I brought that into the program where entrepreneurs are able to scale. I realized that there's a lot of people that are coaching or consulting in this very masculine way of like, yes, like this has worked forever. And it's like, you build out your sales funnel, and then you make the calls and you send the emails, and it's just a part of the way that it's a numbers game, right? I am not against the numbers game. I understand the importance of it, but I also understand the balance between the structure and the feminine. So I really bring in this other, more creative way of scaling a business, which is through human connection and through connectivity. And that is what's missing, even when you're on calls, right? Like, I had this block for such a long time about sales, but sales is building relationships. It's, when I was in business development, I brought in 7 figures in 6 months, and I didn't have any sales training. How was that possible? Because I connected with each individual. And every time I picked up the phone to call them, we would just shoot the shit. It was a fun conversation. They would wait for my call, every 2 weeks or every week or whatever it was. And I knew everything about them. At first I would take notes and like actually write things down. And then after I was like, like I actually genuinely know who this person is. Right. And built that relationship over 3 to 6 months. And that's what that looks like. And I really want to highlight that for a lot of people that are in the entrepreneur space. Start building your relationships. Right? Relationships are everything in this lifetime, everything, right? Everything revolves around relationships. So start getting to know people, be curious, understand how you can be of value to that person, right? And through that contribution to that space, that is just how energy will flow. If you're constantly being of value to people, you'll also bring in that same value. Right? It's just, that's the law, that's the order of the universe.
Wow. I mean, to be honest, that's exactly my same ideology. I cannot just simply call a client and tell them that this is what I sell, will you buy it? They'll probably shut me off every now and then. I cannot go back and knock the door again. This is exactly, ladies and gentlemen, she just gave you a tip that you probably have to restore for ages. If you really want to build the relationship, that's how you do that. It's not about the relationship that matters for any salesperson to the client, but it matters everywhere. Even if, so if give you an example, and that's a very true example, you can cite it anywhere. I connected with CJ just a month ago, and the conversation we started was not about, what exactly I do. She started with a question saying, I just wanted to know, how's your life? Are you happy? Are you okay? Are you do? And apparently she didn't know me much, except for the fact that we just shared a couple of posts on LinkedIn. And it intrigued me in understanding, why did that question come from someone that I didn't know of? And then here we are just doing the same conversation again, and we're trying to understand exactly what exactly is building an international community. She's doing a wonderful job. Uh, CJ, Chris, I love you for what you're actually doing. That's like phenomenal. I mean, I think my ideology meets the expectation of hearing somebody who's truly inspiring. I mean, this exactly, I believe myself. I have been talking to a lot of people who are in sales. I always tell them, cold calling is not going to give you anything. If you really wanted to know them, just dig a little deeper to understand who they are, what they're actually going for, and will they be interested in your product even after 3 months? That's how you build the relationship. No wonder you would have crossed 7 figures in 6 months. That's exactly the way you do it. And that's exactly everybody succeeds. I loved the conversation, and I loved it truly. And I'm sure the audience would definitely be connecting with you, because you are somebody who's connecting the word with everybody else. So yes, that's hyper connection. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, is a hyper connector. So if you have any questions for this podcast for Christabelle, do push your questions into the comments. I'll give her details into the video at the end of the video. And anything that you need from me, I'm always around. You have my LinkedIn ID and you have my YouTube details as well. I love you all and stay blessed. While I'll thank Christabelle for joining me on this podcast and inspiring us with her thoughtful things that we really wanted to hear from her. it's pretty motivating. Thank you so much, Christabelle.
Thank you so much, Ankush. It was honestly, it was a gift. It was a pleasure. It was an honor being in your space. And I love what you're building. I love what you're creating, of course. And it's truly, you know, what's needed in this world. So really building that, the connection, and really allowing that to radiate from both of us. So I'm truly blessed as well. And thank you everyone for listening. And if you want to reach out, like Ankush said, he's going to add my links there. I'm always happy to connect and always happy to see how I can support you along your business journey. And we know how lonely it can be. So let's not do it alone. You don't need to be alone. You don't need to do it alone. You have support. You have a team behind you. So we're here to help you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you again. And ladies and gentlemen, stay blessed, stay healthy, and stay put. We'll connect again with next episode soon. Thank you so much.